March 7th, Monday, 2022. I'm Diane Barrett. I'm here with Cathy Perry. Welcome. I like your collection that you have behind you.
We have a different wall in the house for every major journey we've taken.
You have a big house?
Yeah, it's a good sized house with a great room, which is nice. Yeah.
So you have more walls to add, more journeys, right?
I hope that will be the case.
Right. So what would we say is your occupation?
My occupation.
Mm-hmm.
My occupation, technically, I guess, is the programs director for the Awareness and Empowerment Projects of Servant Hearts, which is the nonprofit that we have. But I'm technically retired. Mm-hmm. We'll stick with retired. I like that. It gives me lots of leeway.
That's good to put that in there, but we do want to have your occupation in there since this is about careers. And
okay, I think I've told you many times, career for me is a Jill of many trades.
Okay.
So
you can pick
I've
four.
Done four. Oh my goodness.
We put them on your screen with your video.
Huh?
We put your career listing with your name on our screen.
Okay, I think the most important was being a mom. That was the number one. But along the way, I owned a coffee house with one of my first partners. I was the operations director of facilities at the University Union at Cal State Hayward, which is now Cal State East Bay. And let's see, I think being the programs director of Servant Hearts has been the most fulfilling because we worked with both youth and with elders in the LGBT community. So I think that's been very, very fulfilling. Let's see, what other one?
How did you attach to that? Is that something you developed, the Servant Hearts, or?
When I met my current partner, which was 17 years ago, she already was in the midst of applying for her IRS status with a nonprofit. So I came along and I had done a nonprofit before in a previous life. And she and I finished it. And when we lived in northern Minnesota together, we started working with the youth and introducing diversity. It was a very white, non-diverse community. As far as there was white and then there were Native Americans. Anything beyond that did not live just below the Canadian border, which is where we were living. So yeah, it was a really important time. We got the GSA at the high school and the college. We restarted. Okay. We brought the Gay Men's Chorus from Minneapolis up to perform. We brought One Voice, which is a diverse group of singers, both LGBT and allies, up to perform so that people got a taste of diversity. Beyond just the Native American community and the very, I would say probably there were Norwegians and Finnish and Danes and so forth. So it was a very white population and a very Native American population.
How did you tap into those groups to let them know that you were doing this and that they were invited to be a part of it?
Yeah, actually, we directly invited people. We also made ourselves known to the city council. We also made ourselves known to the newspaper. So we were out, even though we were told when we first moved there that as far as being an out couple, there were walls and barriers.
You said, we don't care.
Yeah, we don't care.
Right.
Throw rocks at my house. I'm okay.
That's right. And when was this now?
Let's see. I moved to Bemidji, Minnesota in the end of 2016. 2006.
Mm-hmm.
So we were up, I lived up there with my current partner, Tandy, for about 8 years. And
This
then
is
we
now
came
in
back.
Minnesota. You were in Minnesota at this
Yes,
point? Okay.
northern Minnesota, yes.
Okay.
So that was a culture shock for me.
I bet.
That was a learning curve for me.
Where did you come from to get there?
I am about a 5th or 6th generation Californian on my mother's side and a 2nd generation Californian on my father's side. So California, the Bay Area, where you're sitting right in front of the Golden Gate Bridge right there.
Right. And so then you moved to California.
So we came back to California in 2013, I think it was, the end of 2013.
And you moved your organization with you?
Yes, we brought it with us. We got sanctioned or authorization to, even though we had started it in Minnesota, and we transferred it here to California. So we can actually operate in both states.
Well, that's good, huh?
Yeah.
That was smart. Was it a lot of paperwork to make the transition to move to California with it?
Yes, California is not easy to get nonprofit status anymore.
Really?
Yeah. So.
Right. And so now tell me about your organization, what you do, and looking at it as not only informing me, but you're informing many other people who will see this video.
Great. Well, Servant Hearts actually is an umbrella organization. And under the umbrella, we have the Respect Awareness Project, which we do LGBT education and information for people, and we also provide resources, especially for older adults.
Do you have like a physical place that people
No,
go
we don't have a public venue. We've never had a public venue because that requires overhead, that requires staff, that requires a lot of putting a lot of our energy into fundraising and being able to keep it afloat. So it's an all volunteer organization. Nobody gets paid. So if you volunteer with us, don't expect a paycheck.
How about
it's not a dollar one.
So are you compensated through the organization?
No.
Your partner? No. So
No.
nobody is, huh?
Nobody is. So that's one of the projects under our umbrella. The other one is Rhythms of Empowerment, which is my partner, and she does music, breathing, exercise, and hand drums. And she actually takes them to senior facilities prior to the pandemic, and had established her own, so to speak, following. And it was a full-time job. And they compensated her for her time as a contracted labor
contractor.
Yes, right. It is. So anyway, and then the other project that I do is the Wisdom Project for LGBT Elders. And it is an organization or a group of folks who decided when we moved back to California, I didn't find any senior groups that were co-ed. There was lots of women's groups if I wanted to go camping or hiking or something like that, which was not my shtick. And so I got a focus group together, and we talked about what were the, and which has always been our mission and our vision, is to go with what is needed. And so we had this focus group for a few months, and we decided that we wanted a dinner, a served dinner, a nice dinner in a safe place, no alcohol, and with live entertainment that followed. And so we established this monthly gathering called the Third Friday Cafe Night. And we did it. We did it. Name. Right. Yeah, we did it real close to the neighborhood, so that if afterwards people wanted to go socialize some more, they just could go right down the street.
Right.
They could leave their car where it was parked and walk there, and they didn't have to worry about where they were going to park in downtown Sacramento. So anyway, and then from there we started doing also a monthly conversation group. We did a yearly concert, which drew a lot of people. And then we also did an annual information and resource fair where older LGBT people could find safe resources. A lot of our community here was not seeing doctors. They weren't tapping into services through the county for fear of coming out and being pushed back in the closet. Yeah. So we had 35 vendors and about 250 to 300 people attended each year.
That's great. So in your community, there is no, like we have here, we have the center in Hollywood, you know.
There is an LGBT center, but their main focus is youth and homelessness, and it's homeless youth. They have one Saturday a month program called Golden Grounds or something like that they offer to the older community. But by and large, no, we don't have a multifaceted
great service.
Yes, thank you.
Right, really?
Yes.
Right. Okay.
So it's been missed during the pandemic. We're still virtual, but
Are
we're
you,
hoping.
Are you doing interviews of the people, the elders in your group, the men and women, or?
Well, thanks to you and Marge, you've kind of pointed us onto the path of being able to find those resources and know what to do. We've made contact with the archives here at Sac State, and through Greg Williams,
he's wonderful.
He gave us that connection, and so we are in conversation with them about how it will look and what we need to do, and if we need to actually do some sort of fundraising or find some sort of grant, because we don't have the money to actually edit and to they're talking about transcripts, so there's a lot of conversation going on about things that I'm not quite sure of yet.
We're still learning too, so don't feel bad.
So it's a learning curve, and we are grateful to the two of you. So thank you.
Thank you, and thanks for listening to this. I received mail that you had sent, and you listed the collection, so thank you.
You're welcome.
Right.
Greg also suggested that I contact an archive in San Francisco and one in Berkeley. And so he gave me 2 or 3 locally.
Great. I can't say enough that's positive about him. He is just, we went to him and he's guided us every step of the way.
Yeah, he said that you're hard to say no to.
Well, good. So how about for yourself personally? When did you come out to yourself first?
Oh, wow. I've lived a real dual life. I was married for 27 years. I have 3 adult children and 6 grandkids.
Wow.
I came out when I was following my divorce, which had nothing to do with my sexuality. I came out in about 1994, 95. And that was a big deal because by then they were very skeptical about women who had been married, and I would go back to a man and blah, 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 blah. And I had a harder time integrating into the gay community than I did.
So who are the they that you refer to as being
skeptical? The women's community was very judgmental. You know, my partner shouldn't be dating someone who has children. My partner shouldn't be dating somebody who was married, because I would go back to a man if anything happened.
Wow, this is something I didn't know about.
It was very judgmental if you were considered bi because you've been married before.
Wow.
Yeah.
Painful.
Labels are a very bad thing.
It creates a lot of pain and confusion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've noticed here when I listen to women 50 is a deciding year when people who have been married women say, okay, you know, their children at that time are old enough that they feel like they could separate. And yet the painfulness of the separation is still there. But 50 is like the woman has said, that's it. That's when we ran over the Golden Gate Bridge, I was 50. That was my goal. That's why it's on the back of this thing.
I was probably like late 40s.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, near 50, near 50,
Right.
near 50. Yeah.
So do you have anyone in your family, your biologic family, who's homosexual besides yourself?
My mother, my mother was still alive when I came out, and she was very accepting. My dad had already passed. My mom said to me, well, you know, I've always questioned my own sexuality, which I thought was an interesting comment.
Were you surprised?
No.
No.
She had following college, she went into the Marine Corps during the war, and she had a lot of women who she had stayed friendly with who were definitely gay. You know, we had met them and they came to our house and they stayed over and so forth. So yeah, I wasn't surprised. And she had one cousin. My mom didn't have any siblings and neither did her cousin. And he was definitely gay. So my mother was questioning, even though she and my dad were married for 50 years and they stayed together. But my mom's cousin, and then she had a great aunt who didn't get married till she was 65.
Really?
Yeah. And she always would say that she was sure she was a sexual disappointment to her husband, who she married. But then when she passed away, we found diaries and we found books that women had given to her, because she traveled extensively at a time when women probably did not do that, with a group of women. And some of the notes that are written in some of the books that she had were kind of a dead giveaway that she had probably been bi.
Those are keepers.
Yeah.
Where are those?
Well, unfortunately, my mother got rid of some of them, but yeah, I have a couple still.
Yeah, I mean, really, like the Mazer will take things like that.
Okay. All right, I'll keep that in mind.
I'll give you the name of the person to talk to. Right. I mean, that kind of information is stunning. Yeah.
She worked here in Sacramento for the state until she retired. And then she moved down to Carmel in a little bungalow with this older guy. And like I say, it was kind of an odd couple, but anyway.
So you were older did you have any sensing when you were younger that you were not following the heterosexual pattern or that interested in it? But you did follow it for a while, huh?
I did follow it.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about it. We didn't really talk about people being gay. We didn't, I mean, I remember we had two teachers in the PE department who lived together, but nobody ever said they were gay.
Oh no, they didn't say that.
Years later in the women's community, I ran into one of them. And she was with somebody different. I don't know what had happened to the other one. I never asked, but you know, it was an interesting time because nobody really talked about being gay. You were sissy, or you were tomboy, or you were some other word, but gay really wasn't.
Gay was not the word. No,
was not the word. So the vocabulary wasn't there.
No. It's definitely changed. It now confuses me.
Well, I know, it's so complicated.
That's right. I
know people will call us and ask us to explain something, especially when it comes to gender.
Right.
And it's like, I'm not sure I'm the one you should talk to. So
what's the greatest adventure you've had?
Oh, wow.
One or two.
Let's see. Moving to Minnesota, definitely. It's a
Yeah.
whole different way of life.
Mhm.
They talk about having two heat sources. They're the communities themselves, the cultural differences. It was hard for me to see how separated the Native American community is from the community, white community. Let's see. So that was probably the biggest and longest
Uh-huh.
journey or exciting adventure. I'd never lived out of California before. Tandy and I had not known each other for very long. I bought a log house and spent the next 6 years fixing it up and having it refurbished.
Did you have a basement?
Did we have, oh yeah, we had basement, we had a loft. It
Right.
was because during the winter time, you're inside for 8 months.
I'm from Chicago.
Okay, so you're
I knew you had a
inside,
basement, right?
right? You have a basement.
Uh-huh.
Because the previous owner had a home business, it
Mhm.
was a walk-in basement.
Ah,
But there were walls, there were rooms that had no windows.
ah,
So, and stone walls, cinder block
right.
that would protect you. Yeah. So there was the threat of tornadoes or straight winds. There was mile-high snow, below 50 degrees. So coming from California,
You were in
that was
shock.
a huge learning curve.
Right.
I would say outside of that, the traveling, probably their trips to Turkey,
Mhm.
our trips to Japan,
Mhm.
were very spiritual in value. It was a spiritual journey for both Tandy and myself.
So are you still in contact with your grandchildren now and your biologic children?
Yes,
Mhm.
my oldest son is somewhat estranged. We have contact with his two children,
Mhm.
but hit and miss.
Mhm.
But my middle son lives here on the property with us. We just bought 5 acres up
Good.
in Placerville. And
Wow.
he's converting the barn into a barn dominium.
Mhm.
And so he's going to live on the property with us.
Good for him.
Yeah. And he has two, both at Arizona State, and one graduates this year, and we're
Mhm.
going down for her graduation. And the other one is finishing his freshman year.
Mhm.
My daughter, who lives close by in West Sacramento, she has two sons, one who's 12 and one who's 8. And we see them a lot, all the time.
That's great, huh?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes.
So what's your dream for your future now?
Wow. Dream for the future.
Uh,
Well,
you can take a moment.
huh?
You can take a moment to think about it.
Dream for the future. Well, I'd love it if Tandy didn't work and we could be a little bit more free with our time, because she still works full time. So
I'll tell her to cut back.
that would be great.
Raise your income and cut back.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, or she could go back to the drumming. The drumming was something that she could schedule as she wanted it. Now
right.
she actually is doing activity director at a senior retirement community. So
does she offer classes to the people in your groups?
she does not offer classes where she's working, because
Right.
she has not wanted to bring in, it's a participatory activity.
Mhm.
And to have everybody touching the equipment
That's true.
has not been a good idea.
Right.
So she may eventually. And I don't know, we'd like to really travel.
Mhm.
Since we haven't traveled for more than 2 years,
You're
it
ready
will
to
be,
go.
yeah,
You're
I
ready
don't
to
know.
go.
So when we go to Arizona for the graduation, we'll see how that goes.
Are you going to fly or drive?
Yeah. No, we're
Fly.
going to fly.
Uh-huh.
And we would love to go back to Turkey. We would love to go to Wales, which we both have found we have family roots there.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see. I
Mhm.
mean, it's not out of the question. It's just, the spirit's willing is the body.
Well, it sounds like you're excited about your life.
I am. I
Yeah,
am,
which is great.
definitely.
And your business, which is also great. Yes. If there's any way we can help you, just let us know. Any
We
questions.
definitely will. We definitely
Right,
will.
don't hesitate. Do you have
Right.
questions you'd like to ask me before we conclude your interview? Are there things you'd
Well,
like to say?
how long have you and Marge been together?
45 years.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastic.
We grew up together, basically. We met at the county hospital here in Los Angeles. She grew up in Eastern Oregon and then went to school in Portland. Then she became a resident and an intern at the county hospital. And I was from Chicago. I got a job in the operating room as a nurse.
That's right. You were a nurse, right?
And that's where we met, in the operating room.
That's not
We've
exactly
been operating ever since.
romantic.
It's very romantic. We've had a great life.
That's as bad as Tandy and I meeting at a gay Christian retreat.
Perfect.
Kind of an oxymoron.
Right. So if you
yeah.
knew, in closing, if you knew that you were going to die soon, what would you like to be remembered for?
I think for always welcoming people and making them feel as family. I think that's really important.
That's a gift, right?
Many of us don't welcome people in to our lives. And I feel like I've done that, both with the international students that I worked with and, with the LGBT community, especially, well, even in Minnesota, but especially here. So many of our older friends do not have children. They never married. And the older generation was not into, having children, so to speak. So, yeah, so they don't have extended family often. So that we can, there's always family of, birth and family of choice. And
That's
so
a great way to put that. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
that's really good.
yeah, I think that,
Now we're choosing. You're right.
Yeah. Well, and so many of my younger friends have chosen. I have one set of friends who has 3 boys, all by the same male couple, and they co-parent.
Really?
And I think that's a beautiful thing. So
Yes.
anyway,
So
life is
now. See you next week.
people will have their own memory.
They
Hopefully
will.
they'll just
Nobody's
carry it
boring.
in their heart.
Tell your people they're not boring. I haven't done anything. No, you have.
No, I know I have.
Yeah.
I've lived a very multifaceted life, and
You're
I
still
am
doing
grateful.
it. Right.
All right.
So
Well, thank you so much for taking time to talk, and
always,
it's been a
yeah.
pleasure. And best of luck with the project. It's a really
yours.
important.
Right. Best
Thank
of
you.
luck to you. Sounds like you're on your way. I think you're really tracking. I can feel it. Yeah.
Good. All right. Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Diane.
All
Take
right.
care.
Have a good day.
Bye.